Yo, what's up, everybody? All right, so today let's talk about this whole thing with Netflix and all this bullshit that's going on right now. And look, I'm gonna tell you straight up, I feel 50-50 about this. I'm not too thrilled about it, but at the same time, I'm not let down in the sense of that this actually happened just because we needed somebody new to take over this company. But there's the big but. There's a lot of things that are gonna come from this. I'm telling y'all right now. Look, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I'm gonna wait for a few more people to come into the stream just because I want to say some things that are very important, and we have to really, really address the following situation with this whole thing with this sale and stuff like that. I get that a lot of people are happy about it and stuff like that, and that's cool, but we have to also see the much more larger picture and stuff. So, you know, honestly, yeah, that's what I really want to talk about. The mission still remains the same. Restore the Snyderverse. Exactly. That's the whole point. Look, honestly, all right. Look, first I want to say, I was never against the whole the cell movement and stuff like that. And I just didn't really, I was very skeptical about using that hashtag. My main thing has always been restoring the Snyderverse. That's it. And now that Netflix are going to acquire them, buy them and shit like that, I'll be honest with you. Now is when we have to go full force. Honestly, we have to. This is where we really, really have to go all out because that's it. That's already one step in the right path. Now we have to put the pressure upon, Netflix because I'm gonna tell you straight up. Look, all right, Netflix is going to buy them out. All right, that's cool. But here's the big but I was telling y'all about. This is the big thing a lot of people are overseeing. David Zaslav is still attached to this. He's still attached to Warner Brothers because, of course, he wants to be part of the company and stuff like that. Yeah, James Gunn fans are crying all over right now, and I'm happy to see that. But the thing that worries me, all right, is I'll be honest with you. David Zaslav is still being attached right now. All right, we have to keep an eye open with Netflix. Let's not sleep. They're the same company that pushed Cuties a few years ago. That tells you everything. You know where they stand at. All right. We don't know what the plans are moving forward and what they really want to do. But, in the end, if David Zaslav is still attached, you also have to worry that shit might not even change. I'm being real with y'all. All this can still continue because you still have the root of the problem, which is David Zaslav. He's the one that authorized and he let James Gunn do all these things within the DCU. So if David Zaslav still has power to a certain point when it comes to Warner Brothers, I told y'all he wasn't going to let go of it. He's trying to cater that like it's his baby. All right. Now, don't think that he won't still keep having James Gunn around. I'm telling y'all. I'm telling y'all. This is all. I think we're jumping, ahead of ourselves right now. I get it. This is a good win. Everything is good. All right, cool. But and I get some of you are gonna be like, oh, but oh, there's no sources. Yo, there was a lot of things floating around. Don't think Comcast is going to stay with their arms crossed right now. They're preparing the next bid. They're trying to counteroffer. All right. I think everybody's getting ahead of themselves and everybody's too excited right now. We have to really see what's the real big picture. All right. Because look, let's be real. Like I've been telling y'all, I've made several videos telling you why Netflix wasn't a good choice. Look, to whoever says, "Hey, Netflix is going to do all this and that," yo, straight up, Netflix can say a lot of things, and just like politicians, they can lie. I mean, they can lie. How many times haven't we been let down by them? So, what do you think is going to happen? The same thing with this. I'm right now 50-50. I'm happy that Warner Brothers is going to a new company, but there's a big but. If you still have David Zaslav attached, and that's why now I'm starting to see why Paramount was saying that Netflix had preference with David Zaslav or whatever, because of course they're trying to give him his $30 a share, and he's still going to have power one way or the other. He's not fully out. With Paramount and with Comcast, they were going to remove David Zaslav 100%. He wasn't going to be there. So now this concerns me. All right, I'm not worried. I'm concerned because as long as David Zaslav is still there, don't think that things are all peachy now and everything. That's it. We won. Nah, it doesn't work like that. All right. We thought the same thing with AT&T and all that bullshit. Remember, and we still had to fight them until we finally got it. That's how we're in this situation again. All right. So yes, it's sold. Okay, good. Bravo. Congrats. All right. But they haven't announced and they haven't officially said, hey, these are the plans for DC or this is what's going to happen, blah, blah. They can tell us right now just to sweet up the deal and say, hey, we're going to honor and we're going to do theatrical releases. But they don't have to do it to the T. They could change things. And now they're trying to do things that they're trying to I forgot there's a word that's going around Twitter right now, but it's all right now like it's too good to be true. Haven't you ever been somewhere or you come across where something is way too good to be true? This is exactly how I'm feeling right now. This right now, something is going to happen. Something's going to happen. We know that Paramount is going to counter, offer, and the same thing with Comcast and stuff like that. But we have to see up to how far they're willing to go. Netflix is a shady company. Also, don't think that they're saints and they're perfect and this and that. No, yo, when you have a company like Netflix that constantly likes to raise the prices, and don't think that these prices are not going to increase. These prices are going to go even double. If you're paying right now for like the minimum package with ads, get ready because you're about to pay even double of what those streaming services are going to be. I think this was the biggest, baddest decision of this whole sale and stuff like that. Reason why is because look, let's be real. If you're a gamer and you know about gaming, look, you know that the gaming industry is right now all focused and shifting on streaming. That's the future. That's the future. AI is the future. We're not going to change it. It's here to stay. We have to accept it and live with it. The same thing with streaming. The pioneers of streaming are Netflix. Let's be real. The look, Netflix dominates and completely destroys Disney, Paramount, Peacock, all those servers. Right? That I give it to them. All right. But at the same time, Netflix loves to play agendas and all those type of sides. You don't believe me? Look at what they did with Resident Evil. If you haven't seen the Resident Evil, and I'm a huge Resident Evil franchise, I'm a lover of the franchise. Look at what they've done to the franchise on Netflix, right? That it came out like maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, something like that. The worst version of Resident Evil to date. It's really, really bad. I'm telling you. And it's filled with agendas, filled to the top with agendas. All right. So when people come telling me, oh, no, but Netflix knows what they're doing and they care and this and that, no, they don't. Netflix only cares about getting your money and my money. They want to capture each and every one of us on a streaming service, where you're going to be charged every week. Literally, if they could, they will do it. But they want to literally bill you every week, speaking, like that. That's how ridiculous it sounds, but that's how they are. And I get it that they're a business, but when it all comes down to it, now we have to again. Now I don't want to hear excuses. I want everybody to start using now and tag. I just tag Netflix and I go, okay, now restore the Snyderverse. Now it's where we have to shift and stay on track with this one hashtag again. We need to stop creating. No more. There's no more. Now we have to go with the main mission, the goal of restoring the Snyderverse, because now we have to put the pressure on them and say, hey, look, we want it. And if you don't give it to us, we're going to do the same thing like we did with WB. We will keep those wallets closed and we will continue to boycott. I'm telling y'all, we have the power to do that. All right. No more excuses. That's it. You wanted it to sell, it's sold. Now deal with whatever consequences come from this sale. I'm telling y'all straight up 100%. Deal with whatever comes this way. Get ready for upcharges. Get ready for more streaming bullshit. Get ready to kiss physical media goodbye and get ready to kiss movie theaters goodbye. When you have Netflix, right? They're also part of the agenda, and I'll tell you what agenda of removing physical media. All right. You don't see it? Let me put you on point. Why is Sony? Why is Microsoft? Why is Nintendo now bringing out consoles for the next, what, 6, 7, 8 years? And they're all shifting to digital. They're preparing and they're paving the way that gaming is going to be digital. Wake up, people. The future is going to be digital and streaming. All right. That's the gaming division. What are they doing with movies? Isn't Netflix only focused on streaming and doing their own originals? That's what we're going to get. Originals on their streaming service. Netflix doesn't have to go to theatrical release. They could do a week if they want. Shit, they could do a one weekend and that's it. And that's it. Oh, they honored their contract. You see what I'm saying? I saw Rebel Moon 2 in for one night in a special screening when it was released. What a beautiful experience. But did that guarantee that we were going to get worldwide theatrical releases? No, right? No. It only got to certain cities and certain areas for about one night. What is that telling you? That's Netflix model. Netflix only cares about online and online only. People need to wake up, honestly. Seriously, it's crazy. It is crazy. We're going to see what's going to come from all of this. And you know, as long as David Zaslav is still attached, that's the problem. The problem remains at large because David Zaslav is the one that authorized and said to James Gunn, "Yeah, do whatever you want." Remember, David Zaslav's the one that said, "Hey, we're moving away from the DCEU," and they were putting all their eggs in one basket with James Gunn's Superman. Don't think that this is not going to continue. It might. It might, right? But we have to see how things are going to play out in the long run. I don't know what to think and what to make of this. I am 50-50. I'm kind of skeptical, but I'm also happy that hey, some change is coming and this and that. So we're going to see. We are going to see about, what's going to happen. Yeah, I get it. I get that they're saying and they're honoring and all this bullshit. I could tell you straight up, yo, like I could tell you, yo, we're gonna do this and it's a done deal, all right. But who are we to say that they can go back and say, yo, we don't want to put it out anymore like that. We're going to put it out for 1 day or 2 days or a weekend. And then that's it. That's what their whole theatrical release could be. And then they're going to shift again, going back to streaming. Because that's what these corporations do. That's the wild part. And like I said, a lot of us want to know, we're jumping to conclusions, we're getting way ahead of ourselves. And we have to sit back and say, hey, hold on, let these things play out. Let's see what's going to happen. Okay, they sold. All right, cool, congrats. But let's see what's gonna come from that. What's their big plans now? That's what I want to know. What's your plans moving forward? All right, because they could say one thing. Remember, WB said a bunch of shit at the time that they were gonna do this, they were gonna do that, and they proved otherwise. Remember? So that's what I'm telling y'all. A lot of things can be coming from this, good or bad. All I'm telling y'all is accept whatever comes from this. Whatever comes from it, this is what y'all wanted. This is what we're gonna get. Whatever comes from it, whether we get the Snyderverse restored or we don't. All right. This is Netflix we're talking about, a streaming service. All right. Why are they so centered on focus on streaming? Huh? And I get it. They put out a little bit of physical media, like somebody told me the other day. Oh, but they put Wednesday on physical media. Okay, that's it, maybe. But when you have companies like Paramount and you have companies like Universal, Comcast, they constantly put out. That's the difference. They constantly put out. Netflix, if, maybe, you know? So that's another thing too that we have to be cautious about. I'm loving the part that now the James Gunn trolls are everywhere right now and they're crying and they're like, "Oh, James Gunn isn't going anywhere. He's staying the DCU. As long as he stays and continues with the DCU, I don't care." Yo, the excuses are ridiculous. Like everyone everywhere, we're seeing that right now. All over social media. You're seeing all these James Gunn cultists crying and complaining left and right and it's beautiful to see that because they know what's up, all right? James Gunn hasn't come out. He hasn't said anything. He's been quiet all this week. That's what I'm telling you. There's a lot of things that are going to be coming out from this. But at the same time, another thing too, I do want to emphasize, my friends, is the following, right? Remember, about a week ago, I spoke about it. There's a video that I posted that there's a rumor going around that they're saying, even before this whole deal was done, that that Netflix wants to restore Snyderverse, quote unquote, but with Zack Snyder for 2028 as animated, not a live action. We have to also be careful with that. And I don't want to hear no excuses. I don't want to hear no excuses for nobody say, "Yo, I'm a Snyder fan and I'm okay with the Snyderverse being fully done in animation." Hell no. Hell no. You're part of the problem too. It has to be live action. Straight up. If it's not done and it's not ended properly in live action, I don't want part of it. I'm telling you right now, I do not want part of it. It has to be 100% live action. No AI bullshit. No, oh, let's replace it with this and let's put that. No, no, no. It has to be just how it was supposed to be. Live action, and it needs to end live action. No compromising whatsoever. I'm not. I'm sick and tired of people coming on the internet left and right and saying, "Oh, but I'll settle for this as long as we get something." No, you're part of the problem. That's the reason why the shit is the way it is right now in this industry. Everything continues to keep on going. If you're a person that buys digital content, I'm guilty of it. We're part of the problem. If we buy, like games that are digital, we're part of the problem. We buy movies that are digital, we're part of the problem. That's what I'm trying to say. And once Netflix, like just like we're seeing all these gaming giants, like we're seeing with Sony, we're seeing with Microsoft, we're seeing with Nintendo. Why would Nintendo be making a console, right? The Switch 2, and the main focus on them is to upcharge video games. What is that telling you? That they're focused on the future because they're trying to force it that everybody's going to be buying digital. Why are, stores like Best Buy removing physical media? Because they're trying to push that agenda that we're trying to get rid of physical media and we're going to force society to be a society that's only going to consume digital. That's exactly what Netflix is going to do. Netflix now joining and doing this gives them even more leverage. It gives them even more power. It gives them even more to their ego to say, hey, you know what? Um, yeah, we're gonna lie to the consumers and we're gonna say we're gonna do this, but in the end, we're only shifting and we're focusing on streaming because that's what they're making the most money. Let's be realistic from a business standpoint, all right? If you run a business and if you've been around business, you know that they teach you this, that it's about making money. All right. Theaters have been struggling after the pandemic. Let's be real. After the pandemic, the movie industry hasn't been the same. And it's not because of the bad movies and shit like that. No, it's just that people have gotten lazy. Let's say how it is, my friends. That's including me. I've gotten lazy. I'd rather watch a movie that's on HBO Max, that's on Netflix, it's on Disney or whatever it is, without having to leave the comfort of my home and be like, yo, it's cheaper. Because everybody's trying to look for a deal now. It's crazy how people are trying to save and find a deal, right? That's exactly what's happening with streaming. Streaming makes it so convenient because it's at the palm of your hands. People don't even buy TVs anymore. Why are TVs so cheap right now? Because people don't stay home and watch TV. People would rather have their phones. And this is why you're seeing Apple upcharging phones because you have the new Apple model that's almost $2,000. People are getting into debt just because they want to have the latest and more upgraded phone. Why? So they could see the streaming service. And what do you have in there? Apple TV, Hulu, Disney. Oh, get your service with us, and it includes a free trial of HBO Max for 6 months. I'm just saying, this is what they try to sell you with. Everything is digital, my friends. That's what they're selling you. You see what I'm saying? So people are falling for it, and that's the problem when it comes to this industry. Christopher Nolan, right? He's, I think, apparently like one of the big ones when it comes to the writer's guide or something of America. This whole thing, right? And Christopher Nolan, he's also like stepping in, and that's Comcast he represents. Why did he leave Warner Brothers? Because Warner Brothers was trying to push, and they're trying to do this whole thing with streaming. See what I'm saying? That's the difference. So Christopher Nolan's like, yo, no, I'm walking out and I'm going to Universal because Universal puts out physical, they put digital, they put everything. They put everything. That's the beauty of it. You see what I'm saying? That's the difference, my friends. A lot of people are getting so caught up in their emotions and their feelings. Oh, sell, sell, sell. Okay, yeah, now it's sold. What's next? What's next? Are you going to settle if Netflix says, hey, we're going to quote unquote restore the Snyderverse, but we're going to do it animated style? Are you going to eat that and say, I'm happy with it as long as it's done? No, no, I am not. I am not going to back that up. All right? Straight up, I'm not. How come we don't hear updates of Rebel Moon? How come Dan Lin is in power at Netflix? And because of Dan Lin, apparently the rumor going around, remember, this is all rumors, Dan Lin doesn't get along with Zack Snyder. Dan Lin is another shill. He's another problem, just like David Zaslav. So now we have two. We have two, my friends. We have Dan Lin, that he's in charge of the budgeting, the money at Netflix. And we're going to have David Zaslav in charge of Warner Brothers while under Netflix? You see what I'm saying? Sometimes people tend to fight for stuff that they don't even know what they're fighting for. This is why I was trying to push, yo, we need to stick together to one hashtag. We need to this and that. But what happened? Everybody wants to do what the fuck they want to do. That's what it is, apparently. It's come down to that. It's sold. Good. Congrats. What's next? What's next? We have to wait and see. Everybody's getting ahead of themselves way too much. We can't be like that. We have to seriously all stay together and we have to keep on pushing. C Briggs 502, I appreciate that. Thank you so much, brother. I really appreciate that. We get it. You want a Universal Comcast to win, but they didn't like they didn't just take the loss and keep it moving. Netflix will bring the Snyderverse back. Stop fear mongering. It's not about fear mongering. It's about reality. It's about reality. All right, that's what it is. In the end, it's all about the reality. The gaming industry. Can you say the same thing about that? Why are they preparing consoles that are going to be prepared for the next? Don't be surprised if the next PS6 it's all digital because they're looking also at the statistics. I'm not trying to fear monger or anything. I'm just telling y'all what I'm seeing from the business side. You know, a lot of people don't see that. A lot of people are just like, yo, as long as they sold, that's all that matters. Yo, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Sometimes we have to actually analyze and see, hey, hold on, okay, all right, this makes sense. This is a good business model. But as long as David Zaslav is still attached, that's my worry. That is my big concern because David Zaslav is still going to have some type of power. Remember, David Zaslav told James Gunn, and what are we seeing? David Zaslav has said, "Oh, nothing is going to make it and pass without my authorization, and if it's not worthy, we won't put it out." But yet we get Superman, yet we get Creature Commandos, yet we get all these flops that keep on coming out, right? It's not making the money at the box office, and then they're trying to justify it and say, "Hey, as long as we make budget back." You think Netflix is going to be happy with saying, "Hey, as long as we make budget back, we're in a good condition"? What? Hell no. After what they're just about to spend, $82 billion. Oh, as long as we make budget back, that doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. You know, honestly, in the end, we're going to have to really see what is going to happen. You know, like I said, I'm 50-50. I'm happy that they sold, but at the same time, we have to keep our eyes open. You know, just because they're saying one thing doesn't mean that they're gonna fulfill the contract and they're gonna live up to everything that's literally in writing. How many times did the WB do the same thing? And we're talking about WB. And now they're bringing David Zaslav is still attached to that. That's the part where we had to think, my friends, and we had to analyze and say, hold on, this is too good to be true. And when it's too good to be true, that's the part we have to worry. Are you gonna buy a car that the dealership and you know that the salesman is bullshitting you and telling you, hey, this car, this and that, blah blah. Why you need the Carfax? Because you need to see the history of what's going on with that car. And then when you find out, oh damn, they repaired it, it looks good, looks beautiful, blah blah blah. Oh, it has low mileage, and then the Carfax shows you what? Damn, this car was in an accident several times. You know, the engine has been resetted. You're seriously buying like a freaking rebuild, you know? And we know rebuild titles don't have no value. That's exactly what this could be in the same situation, you know? And yeah, I agree with you. I'm not jumping for joy, you know? I have my doubts also. I agree with you. I'm happy that things are shifting and they're moving, you know, for and they could benefit us. But we still have to see what the real plan is. Are they going to keep James Gunn? Are they going to get rid of James Gunn? That's the part we don't know. We do not know. And then we also know, apparently today, I think it's supposed to today wrap up that Comcast is trying to make a larger bid, trying to counteroffer the bid from Netflix. All right, but the thing is, David Zaslav wants to be attached. He still wants a position. He doesn't want to be fully removed. Comcast and Paramount both want him out. They want him out. That's it. Netflix told David Zaslav, "Yo, we'll give you the 30th share, and we'll leave you here as head or whatever it is of WB and stuff." Yes, he's gonna have to report to Netflix, but he still could go ahead and continue the same nonsense that he's doing right now, and that's the part that worries me. Cause I'm like, yo, this means that they could still put out Man of Tomorrow. See what I'm saying? So it's like until we don't hear, yo, they're canceling it, they're moving away, and Zach is officially back, and even Zach posts something related to either Restored or with Netflix, yo, then I get it. Okay, it's a done deal. He said it and he's acknowledging himself. Then boom, let's go ham and let's all celebrate. But until then, I'm not popping my champagne. I'm not opening the bottle yet. I'm not bringing out, you know, the silverware just because, yo, we're still seeing what's coming. All right. Because, like I said, we all, not me, but a lot of y'all said, oh, watch when James Gunn comes. He's going to end up doing and including this and that. And I told y'all, I was like, James Gunn is a Trojan horse. The same thing could be applying here too. Netflix could have good intentions, but the Trojan horse still continues because they have David Zaslav. David Zaslav is the one that's inside that Trojan horse right now. How do we know what he's going to try to convince, you know, the executives and the board over at Netflix and say, hey, this is going to work out. Hey, we don't need the Snyderverse. We don't need Zach. We don't need all that, blah, blah, blah. And then what? They continue their nonsense. That's the part that I'm trying to emphasize and say, my friends. Let's hope that they don't do that. Can they do that? Yes. Will they do that? We do not know. I can't tell you, yeah, that's what they're going to do. I can't tell you, no, that's not what they're going to do. Until we don't officially hear from Zach himself, like he's been posting these pictures and stuff, those pictures are probably just to build up all his momentum and stuff like that. Good. Now we go all out and we continue to put the pressure with Restore the Snyderverse. Remember, We have two trending events coming up this month. All right. On the 20th, we have the one for Rebel Moon. Oh, no, for I think it's for either Rebel Moon or the one for Release the Air Cut. One of those two. I know it's the 20th and 22nd. I just can't remember right now at the top of my head. The point is that we had to keep on pushing both. And now we have to tag directly Netflix. Warner Bros. Not so much because they have to go by what Netflix approves. All right. We're bypassing David Zaslav. That's the difference when it's going to come to this. We're going to see what in the end is going to happen. Once these trending events come up, don't think that this pressure is not going to be upon Netflix now. Netflix is already feeling it. I tagged them. A bunch of people are starting to tag them. And we don't stop here. We continue. Our mission is to keep moving forward and get the Snyderverse restored. Until that doesn't happen, my friends, we will stop at nothing. Period. Until it's official and Netflix comes out like we've been putting, images and people have been making images from long ago with Darkseid shooting the laser beam and then it makes the N, for Netflix, then we have to do the same thing. And there's another one too out there that Netflix, posted. We know it's not real, but until the Netflix official account comes out and says, hey, restored or Snyderverse restored or something, that's when we know we are back. Right now, yes, we're on the right track, which is good. I'm happy. I'm happy. But at the same time, this does just because they're selling doesn't mean that hey, let's all go see Supergirl next year. Because and don't be look, oh my god, look, I'm telling you right now, I'm getting worked up. Don't be surprised if we start hearing bullshit from James Gunn saying, oh, they're gonna try to put Henry Cavill might make an appearance, or you might see some of the Snyder actors and actresses make a cameo in the next movie. Yo, I'm not eating that shit up right now. I'm not. That's the same thing that they were trying to do with all these previous movies. Remember, that's what they did. And when we saw when Black Adam leaked, we were like, damn, that's it? Okay, cool. Things were supposed to pick up again. Now we don't know. We don't know what's gonna come from this. I'm hoping I'm hoping that this is for the best. But in the end, we haven't heard anything with James Gunn's contract. So everything is up in the air still with that. Remember, he has until November 1st, 2026, and we'll be able to find out if Netflix now is going to renew his contract. Not Warner Brothers. Now it goes above. Now it's going to be Netflix. Are they going to approve and renew the contract with James Gunn? What are the plans? We have to see. That's the part that we have. Yo, y'all bear with me. I'm sick again, so I'm still here talking and bringing y'all these news again. So yeah, it's just flu season, so it got me again, and it is what it is. But even that's not stopping me. We're here still talking and stuff. So like I'm telling y'all, we just have to keep on pushing and fighting for what we want. We already know that Supergirl is going to be DOA. That's another dead on arrival product, Clayface. And then there was a meme too going around now. I just saw it. It was funny that somebody posted and they said now that Netflix owns WB, the Batman 2 is going to be a Netflix original. That was hilarious. I was like, wow. Like now people are starting to like, make memes about it and stuff like that. I'm like, wow, that didn't take long, honestly. So it's good. It's good. People all over the world are realizing and coming together and saying, hey, you know what? This right now is a 50-50. This is good, but at the same time, we have to still keep an eye on them to see how far is Netflix willing to go. Are they willing to really go above and beyond for the fans? And how far are they willing to go? They know and they're aware. Don't think that they're not. Why would they put Netflix Friends that what was it when recently Black Adam was streaming on their service with Henry Cavill and The Rock? See what I'm saying? So like we know Netflix can do it. The question is, do they really want to do it? We know Zach wants to continue. We know Zach wants to do everything with his DCEU and Snyderverse and all that stuff. We want it. But now the big question lies upon Netflix, not David Zaslav. Now it's above him. Now it's Netflix. How and when are they willing to do it? Because if you still have David Zaslav, he's going to be running some parts still at WB. That's what worries me because James Gunn is still attached to it. Remember, they're still buddies. They're still friends. And Peter Safran is still there. He's still part of that circle. All right. So, and then again, don't forget, Dan Lin is also there. So Dan Lin is the one who authorizes the money and says, let me sign the check. How much you need for this movie? Oh, this movie's costing us this much? Yeah, that's a no-go. That's what worries me too. See what I'm saying? David Zaslav's not the one writing the checks now. It's going to be Dan Lin because he's the one at Netflix. He's been there since April of 2024, literally a year and a few months. So we have to see what's going to happen with that. All right. And like I said, I'm hoping for the best. I'm praying for the best. This is a big step in the right direction, but at the same time, that doesn't mean, hey, we fully won and everything is good to go. Not yet. Not yet. Let's not get ahead of ourselves yet. First, let's see. Hopefully, Zach posts something today by the end of the day, or maybe over the weekend, related to all this. But I know that there's still also that update that we're supposed to be hearing. I think it's supposed to be by today, by the end of the day, today, Friday, that Comcast is supposed to, because I think they're working within their own company now with, I think, is NBC or something that they have within their own networks. They're trying to, I guess, consolidate and put everything into one big offer where they're going to try to outbid the 82 billion from Netflix. And if they counter offer, who knows, probably it could be in the high 90s, almost 100 billions. We don't know. And don't think that David Zaslav won't reconsider that. He'll be like, oh, hold on. Things could change too. They could shift. Remember, it's all about money. David Zaslav is all about money. And we can't say that. We can't say that. Supposedly Netflix is buying them. That's what right now everything is coming out and stuff like that. And they officially announced it. It's on their Instagram and stuff like that. So it could be a done deal. But again, we don't know. These things could change too. Like I said, haven't you ever gone to a car dealer and to buy a car, used new car, whatever, or you're gonna buy something and you're about to sign and you're about to put your card and they're pressuring you to pay? It could be the same like this. They could be pressuring David Zaslav. Hey, take the offer. It's too good to be true. Take it now while you still can. And then all of a sudden, we can get Comcast and say, hey, reconsider and look at our new offer. This is what we counter offer. Boom. A big offer. Much more than what Netflix. You know what I'm saying? So it could get to that point. The question is, are they going to bite? We don't know. We don't know. Remember, everything is in business. Everything goes up and down. Everything, just like the stock market. Today is high. Tomorrow might be all the way down. So it's a roller coaster. Everything goes up and down. But for sure, we know that we have to keep on pushing for the restoration of the Snyderverse. That's it. We have to stay focused and we have to stay back on track for Zach and everything that has to do for the movies that we've been fighting for. If they want to continue the DCU, they want to continue with James Gunn. To hell with that. I don't care. I want to see that they're gonna bring Zach back and they're gonna do something officially with him. That's the part that we want. All right, so I don't know. That's another thing too. Now they're talking about that they want to have Trump jump in and his team and yo, this is getting nuts. Like this is not the end. That's what I'm telling you. This is not the end of this whole deal. This is gonna now go into like even more. With the DOJ, Department of Justice, they're gonna start doing investigations. It's become political. That's it. It's become political. Unfortunately, like I've been telling y'all, everything is just unfortunately smeared with politics, and this is one aspect of it, because now when you have the president jumping in and the DOJ and this and that, yo, just sell it and that's it. There's always something that has to get in the middle, and constantly, it's like, yo, like what the hell, honestly, we'll see what's gonna happen and what's gonna be coming from it and stuff like that. No, I see that. I see that. It's just like I said, like the whole sell. All right, cool. That's it. It's sold. If it really sold, what's next? What's next? Like, what's the next hashtag? Do we really need another next hashtag? That's all I'm really against. I've never been against the selling. I've never been against the movement. I've never been against any of that. So the same way you're saying that I'm missing the target, some of you are missing the target of what I'm trying to say. Sometimes the bigger picture is being overseen by what some people feel. Like, okay, sell it. All right, cool. It sold. It had to sell regardless. In this case, Netflix just happened to have that money. All right. Because we had three big companies that were going up against it. There were so many people saying, oh, it was going to be Paramount. I wanted Comcast to get them. So it is what it is. But again, as long as David Zaslav is still attached, that's the part that concerns me. All right. That concerns me. That's where the other 50% is at, where I'm like, all right, I like it, But at the same time, I'm like, yo, I'm kind of worried because look at what they've done. That's Netflix. If you don't know how Netflix really rolls, yo, Netflix is not a saint company. No company is, all right? But when it really comes down to pushing agendas, you don't see that really a lot with Paramount. They push their agendas low key. Comcast probably does the same thing too. But Netflix is all out. Netflix doesn't give a shit. They will straight up put it in your face and they don't care. And you're the customer, you're paying for it, deal with it. That's how they are. And they can do it because they have that power, you know? The only way you can prevent it is just by not watching it, not supporting it. You get what I'm saying? I don't have Netflix. I don't need Netflix right now. That's it. I saw it when I had to see it with Rebel Moon. That's it. I don't need HBO Max. That's it. When they bring the Snyderverse and they bring Zach and they bring all these, IPs back and stuff like that, then I'll go ahead and I'll support it again. Until then, I'm not supporting it, you know. We'll see. We're gonna see what's all of this gonna come out, you know. Yeah, we're gonna see what Zach is going to say. That's what I'm saying. If Zach officially posts something and he's like, "Yo, this is what it is," or whatever, all right, cool. Now I think after this, like, yo, like the cat's out of the bag already. Like that's it. Like we're probably gonna hear something official from him, probably, hopefully soon. I don't know when, but hopefully something does come from this and stuff like that. But I don't know. I'm mixed. I have mixed feelings. I'm excited, but at the same time I'm concerned. That's just how I feel. Some of you don't have to feel like that. Some of you probably 100% excited, happy, thrilled, good. Some of you probably 100% against this. Like, yo, I understand that. I'm 50-50. I'm happy that it sold, but I'm also concerned where, yo, as long as David Zaslav is still around, that's the part that still worries me as a consumer, you see, as a fan and as a customer. Because I'm like, damn, yo, like, I know what Netflix is about. Let's be real. Like I said, I'm a big fan of Resident Evil. I love that Resident Evil franchise. But what did Netflix do to it in for their show when they had the what is it, the license for it and stuff? They destroyed it. They destroyed Resident Evil. And if you haven't seen it, and if you're one of the fans, quote unquote fans that say, "Yo, I love Resident Evil and I love what Netflix did with that," I I don't know what to tell you. I really don't know. Honestly, because that's not Resident Evil. That's just, I don't know what the hell it was, and they just slapped that logo on it. That's why I'm like, I don't know honestly. Um, we'll see. We'll see. WB's always playing everybody. Honestly, um, like WB is just a company that they like to play the fans and the customers. They do. Don't think that Netflix is a saint. Also, you know. Don't think. Now everybody's all of a sudden now like, like straight up, like, I'm sorry to say it, but I'm saying now people are more glazing Netflix just because of this. I'm not one of them. I told y'all before I even made these videos, before this sale back in October, the reason why I didn't want Netflix. Netflix, I'm telling y'all right now, they're probably playing all of us, and they're gonna just shift and focus on streaming. I'm telling y'all, James Cameron told us when Terminator and all these movies, you're gonna see how everything is going to be the way it is now. And look where we are right now. What's taking over? Digital, AI, streaming, robotics. That's the future. And that's the future when it comes to this entertainment business. They know that they can make more money on streaming because you're forced. You can't just go out there and buy the physical media. Unless you're sailing the seven seas, that's the only way. But besides that, you can't go out there and say, hey, let me go buy a Rebel Moon on, 4K Steelbook Collector's Edition. It doesn't exist. That's the difference. Let me go buy Zack Snyder's Justice League Steelbook. Okay, that I could go find. You can find it on eBay, Amazon, Walmart. You can find it anywhere. That's the difference. Netflix doesn't really cater to when it comes to physical media. And if they put out physical media, is a very limited run. That's the part that also concerns me and it worries me. So in the end, like I said, let's hope for the best. Let's just look at the positive, of course. But at the same time, let's look at it from both sides, not just one. We have to see it from both sides. And of course, could this be the end of theatrical releases? Not yet, but that's approaching. Some of y'all might be like, "Nah, that's never gonna happen." They said the same thing about DVDs and VHS and 8 tracks and drive-in movie theaters, and they're all gone, unfortunately, because you got to get with the times. And the times, as we keep on moving into the future, is unfortunately all going to be on the internet. The gaming industry is capitalizing, and it is what it is. It is what it is. That's why I said the end of theatrical, experience is not yet, but it's approaching. It's approaching. Let's accept the reality. The reality is the theaters are not going to be around for the next 10 years. They're not. They're not. They make more money. They get more views on their streaming service than what they do in, you know, when they try to release it. And after COVID, it's even made it much more easier for them. This is just corporate America as usual playing their games, and they're just pushing towards that agenda that everything is going to be online. Once they reach it, which we already see, Disney's already doing it. Look at all the shows that they have on that. And even Disney doesn't want to share, with their shows and stuff. And then Disney's buying out other like streaming services. I mean, they bought out Hulu. They have Tubi. I don't even know what else they own, but I'm sure they own a bunch of stuff out there also. So, it is what it is. We're gonna have to see and wait. But it's exciting to see all this things that are happening and stuff like that. But in the end, like I said, let's keep on watching. Let's keep an eye close on this company, and hopefully Netflix actually proves me and what I'm saying wrong, and they end up doing and honoring everything that they said that they were going to do. And with that, I want to see Zach back. I want to see the Snyderverse restored. I just want to see the proper conclusion to that. Like, just let him do what he wants to do. After that, do whatever the hell you want to do. I don't care. I just want to see Justice League 2 and 3. Ben Affleck Batman movie, Man of Steel 2. I want to see all that. I want to see all that. A lot of us still do. And I think it's already proven with the numbers that Superman made with James Gunn at the box office this year. Compared to what Zach put out, what it was 12 years ago. We're still here talking about it. So that's the incredible part. And like I said, the main goal now remains, now after that it's already sold. All right, that's cool. Now we have to focus and get back on track for Restore the Snyderverse. With that being said, my friends, I want to thank y'all for tuning in. I know more updates are going to come out, so let's keep posted and we'll keep watching. Till then, thank y'all. Have a safe day, all that good stuff. Until next time.